I was probably in 7th grade. And my dad, he was beating on the horses and to get his feet under it so it could get out of the ravine. But then after he quit beating on the horse, he turned to me and started beating me with the horse reins, like it was all my fault. And all I tried to do is go out and help the old guy, you know, unhook the horses. And it's just one of those things that is with me and it comes back. I had made arrangements to have a date with a gal that worked at the place. So I was really excited about that, and I wanted to get home and get cleaned up and get back. And so I told my dad, you know, what we had to do. And so Friday was always payday for him, and he always had to stop at this bar. And so he went to the bar, and he stayed and he stayed and he stayed. And so finally I had gone in and said, Dad, we've really got to get going. So he was teed off that I pushed him that way. So I was driving a little fast to get home because we were late. And he said, you better slow this blank thing down or we're going to get a ticket. And I said, well, if I get a ticket, I'll pay for it. I was so mad at him. And so he started telling me how worthless I was and how I didn't appreciate anything. And we were driving along this road, and out of the blue he said, I hope you go to Korea and get your GD head blown off. And I just said, well, you know, if I do, I won't have to be around people like you. Well, that really set him off. I was behind the wheel, but he grabbed for me and ripped my shirt off and tore me across the chest and started hitting on me and everything. And I knew I had to get away from him. So I got off to the shoulder of the road and got out and ran away from him. I later found out that he had gotten a gun and went out hunting for me, but I never went home again. Within just days, I was on a bus going to Fort Riley, Kansas, to take my basic training. And the Army kind of became my home then for a while. And I was on the ship going over to Korea from Fort Lewis, Washington. And on Christmas Eve, the ship, I don't know if it broke down or what, but anyway, they turned off the motors and it was out there in the middle of the ocean, and it was just as black as could be. And I went up on the deck, and I was kind of depressed because I was without family, and here it was Christmas Eve, and I was going to Korea and not knowing what was going to happen there. And it was one of those magic moments for me, and it was just like you could reach out and touch God, you know. Excuse me.
That's okay.
I kind of got on the deck. I even thought about jumping over because I was so depressed. And when I got up there, I was leaning over the deck and I saw the stars and everything. And it was just like God spoke to me and said, Chuck, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And I just felt a peace that came. And I knew it was going to be okay. I started going to church when I was in high school. I went, first of all, to a Baptist church because one of my best friends, Dave Smith, went there. And my dad was friends with his family. So Dave and I became real good friends. In fact, we were like brothers. I mean, we really loved one another. And then Dave went off to Korea and got killed. It was during that time that I was in Korea that I decided that, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to be a minister. I always felt my ministry was handicapped in that I would tell others that they had to forgive their enemies and so forth. And yet, I could never forgive my dad. I mean, this was just one of many things, but I always felt like a hypocrite, and I think it crippled my ministry. One of my favorite sayings used to be John 3:16, but you have to go on with John 3:16 and include 17 and 18 with it, because he came not to punish us or to judge us, but to give us life everlasting. And I found a father that I never had or never knew, and he's a good father, and I love him, and he's blessed me in so many ways, and one of those ways is the son that I have that he is using in a mighty way. And Ann and I give thanks for you all the time, and we just hope you keep up the good work.